Something just feels off about the latest Indianapolis Colts news, and we need to address it head on. NFL insiders Steve Wyche and Mike Garafolo have officially confirmed that quarterback Daniel Jones is set for his return to the field following his Achilles injury ahead of Week 1. It is a massive development that completely reshapes our offensive expectations as the season kicks off. There are two layers here that we need to break down: the immediate injury recovery update and the long-term impact on our playoff hopes. The closer we look, the more complex this becomes. Like, subscribe, and comment your city. Let us dive in. The big news circling our Indianapolis Colts today centers on quarterback Daniel Jones and his ongoing road to recovery following an Achilles injury as we approach the Week 1 kickoff. Since joining our organization, Jones has become a focal point of discussion for the front office and our coaching staff led by Shane Steichen, with everyone waiting to see how he translates his athleticism into our system after such a taxing physical setback. According to NFL Network insiders Steve Wyche and Mike Garafolo, the details regarding his return have finally come to light, providing us with a clearer timeline on his availability for the upcoming season opener. Now, here's the thing. For those of us who have followed this team through every high and low, the anxiety surrounding a soft tissue injury of this magnitude is deeply relatable and honestly a bit unsettling. The fan base has been holding its collective breath, hoping for a clean bill of health that allows us to hit the ground running without hesitation or limited mobility under center. Seeing an experienced player face such a daunting rehabilitation process reminds us of how fragile our championship aspirations truly are when the season is hanging in the balance. The emotional weight of this announcement is heavy, because we know that a leader at this position is the backbone of our identity. And without his full participation, our offensive scheme faces immediate questions. While the reports give us a glimpse of the roadmap ahead, I cannot help but wonder if his footwork and command of the pocket will remain as sharp as we need them to be on opening day. This leads us to a much bigger concern that sits in the back of my mind. What does the backup contingency plan look like if he's not quite ready for full contact? The most jarring reality we face right now is the sheer volatility of the quarterback position, specifically regarding Daniel Jones and his grueling recovery from that severe Achilles injury. This situation traces back to the initial medical assessment following the snap, which left our front office scrambling to ensure we were not left empty-handed when the regular season commenced. According to NFL Network insiders Steve Wyche and Mike Garafolo, the team has been meticulously monitoring his progress to ensure his mobility meets the high standards required for our offense. And the more I look at this, the more I see the immense pressure resting on the shoulders of head coach Shane Steichen to manage this delicate reintegration while keeping the rest of the roster stable. Historically, our franchise has seen various signal callers battle through significant lower body trauma, and the results have always been a mixed bag of caution and necessity. The front office, led by General Manager Chris Ballard, is likely operating behind closed doors with a dual mindset of absolute protection for our long-term investment while balancing the immediate need to secure victories against a brutal division schedule. It is a calculated gamble, one where owner Carly Ursay Gordon expects nothing less than a polished, competitive performance despite the lingering medical questions. They are undoubtedly weighing the risk of early season fatigue against the potential for a full, explosive return to form for their primary leader. This strategy hinges entirely on whether Jones can replicate his previous agility, as any hint of diminished movement will force our coaching staff to adjust their entire playbook on the fly. It is a high-stakes chess match that demands patience from us as fans, while the organization navigates the most dangerous part of the calendar with calculated precision and professional restraint during these critical training sessions. So that is the landscape across the league, but let us move into what this development specifically means for our squad in Indianapolis. This is where it gets real for us, because the news regarding quarterback Daniel Jones and his recovery from an Achilles injury following the updates from Steve Wyche and Mike Garafolo of the NFL Network is the defining narrative for our season opener. Why does this matter right now? It matters because the entire offensive scheme under head coach Shane Steichen hinges on the mobility and health of the man under center. And an Achilles injury is a difficult hurdle for any athlete to clear before kickoff. The immediate impact on our depth chart is significant, as the front office led by General Manager Chris Ballard must now weigh the risks of pushing Jones into action against the necessity of having a fully capable leader to guide our offense. This situation ripples through our cap space and roster planning, forcing us to consider backup options if he cannot regain his full form. Looking at our upcoming schedule, this recovery timeline dictates how we approach those crucial initial matchups, as facing top-tier defensive pressure requires a quarterback who is not limited by his lower body health. If Jones is compromised, we face a major challenge in maintaining offensive rhythm, which shifts the internal expectations for our standing against our division rivals. Our playoff hopes essentially rest on how quickly he can move in the pocket and execute the high-speed plays that Steichen prefers. With the season looming, we need absolute certainty about our signal caller to remain competitive in a crowded field, and we will be watching these reports closer than ever as we prepare to take the field this year. The return of Daniel Jones following his Achilles injury is the focal point of our conversation, and the potential upside for the Indianapolis Colts is significant if he regains his form. Having a veteran presence under center can provide the necessary stability that Shane Steichen requires to execute his complex offensive scheme effectively. By drawing on his experience, Jones could elevate the play of our skill players, turning drives into consistent scoring opportunities that keep our defense rested and competitive. And this is the part that gets me. The inherent risk involved with such a severe lower body injury cannot be ignored. Achilles tears are notoriously difficult for quarterbacks who rely on mobility to evade pressure, and even a slight loss of agility could hamper his ability to extend plays outside of the pocket. NFL Network insiders Steve Wyche and Mike Garafolo have been detailing the progress of his recovery, and while they highlight the optimism surrounding his Week 1 availability, it is clear the team remains cautious. Around the league, other teams have taken different approaches to their quarterback rooms, with names like Shedeur Sanders and Deshaun Watson dominating headlines elsewhere. It feels like the media is leaning heavily into the narrative that Jones will immediately return to his previous peak, which seems a bit premature given the severity of his rehabilitation process. My honest take here is that we need to see him survive the initial contact in real game conditions before we declare the position solved. While the front office, led by Chris Ballard, certainly did their due diligence, I suspect the intensity of the regular season will prove more demanding than current reports suggest. We must remain patient, as the true measure of his recovery will only become evident once the pads start popping in high-stakes, game-speed action during the early weeks of this season. When we evaluate the latest updates regarding our signal caller alongside the broader league landscape, a clearer vision for the future of this organization begins to take shape. With NFL Network insiders Steve Wyche and Mike Garafolo confirming the return of Daniel Jones to the fold following his Achilles injury, we are witnessing a critical juncture for our franchise trajectory. This development suggests that the front office, led by Chris Ballard, is banking on veteran stability to anchor our offensive identity under Shane Steichen. What nobody is talking about is how this recovery timeline directly dictates our flexibility in building a roster capable of competing for the division title over these next few seasons. As Indianapolis Colts fans, you should feel a grounded sense of cautious optimism heading into Week 1. We finally have clarity on the most important position on the field, which allows our coaching staff to implement their full playbook without hesitation. Having our leader back in the mix provides the necessary floor for this team to build momentum early, as consistent quarterback play is the bedrock of any championship pursuit. While the rest of the league is busy navigating training camp uncertainties and contract disputes, we have the pieces in place to establish a winning culture immediately. I want to know where you stand on this situation as we look toward the opening kickoff. Considering the physical toll of an Achilles injury, do you believe Daniel Jones will be able to maintain his mobility at the same level as he did before the injury occurred? If you enjoyed the video, do not forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. For the shoe, I'll see you in the next one. Next.